What is going on, everybody? We're joined by our friend Jeff Dwoskin, and you guys know he has a podcast. Somehow the internet still hasn't caught on yet. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad to have you back on here.
I haven't been on in a long time.
Yeah,
I think you guys were like one of the first podcasts I was on way back when.
Yeah, and then you came back on. We had inconsolable differences with a certain somebody we won't name. I think it's been since then, which is sad. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
but,
that was years ago.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah. It was always. I mean, it's so good. I'm glad to be back now. It's like people crave. Like wouldn't be as special if I was here all the time. So it's all good. It's all good.
Well, you're the TV guy. What have you been watching lately? Anything good besides Ted? Ted was phenomenal.
Ted was amazing. I will say, you know what show I'm rewatching and loving every second of it. And I was this close to blowing you off to watch it.
Fair.
I'm obsessed again with Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
So good. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Such a good show. So funny. And it's interesting. I don't know if I was listening to a podcast or something. So, it's Andy Samberg, and the cast is just unbelievable, that cast. And Andre Braugher, who just passed away, he's the one in the first episode that joins the precinct, right? And so originally, I guess, the way it was written was that it was Andy Samberg's character that came into the 9-9. So he was the new one. And they realized it wasn't working. And so they reversed it. This is before I think they even shot anything. This was all just in talking through the scripts and stuff. And they realized if they reverse it, and I can't even imagine, I can see where the show probably wouldn't have lasted a season if they had flipped it the other way, because the dynamic of his character would have been so off-putting. But because you can believe that they were friends, it was, it's interesting how one tweak can make such a difference. So.
Oh, for sure.
I sadly have not seen that show yet. I need to.
You'd love it, man.
Oh, you guys start watching it. It's on Paramount. Peacock.
The only episode I saw was the New Girl crossover, and I really dug it. So, I mean, I do need to watch it.
New Girl's a great show, too. I just finished Monarch.
How is it?
The Godzilla thing. It's good. And then about 2/3 of the way through, it becomes Ant-Man Quantumanium.
Oh, that's rough.
What I don't mean. Well, I should say that. I should say it's the same. Everyone's using the same concepts.
Gotcha.
What I mean?
Gotcha.
I don't mean to. I loved Monarch.
I
hated Ant-Man Quantumanium.
Yeah.
I just mean the Quantumanium part.
Sure.
Where, there's that area where you can be, and the time is different, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was good. And then
have you seen The Bear? I'm raving about The Bear. The Bear is so much fun.
I want to rewatch The Bear. I watched season 1 and 2. The Bear is one of the best shows ever. It's pretty intense. That's the thing. I don't understand why it's in the comedy thing. It
should not. It's funny because White Lotus was in the drama side and The Bear was on the comedy side, and it should have been flipped during the awards. But no, The Bear is great.
Yeah, The Bear is intense, really intense. My wife couldn't watch it at first because it was so intense. You know what I mean? And then it was season 2, and it's this is supposedly the greatest show ever. And so we kind of got through it. But there's some episodes which
it's
are
heavy. Yeah.
Very, very intense and stressful, but amazing.
Man, he just messes up so much in that first season.
He turns out to be, he's my favorite character.
Yeah, me too.
He's supposedly the Thing now in the Fantastic Four.
Really? How about that? That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rumor. I don't know if it's official or a rumor, but that's the rumor, I guess. Yeah.
I think it's more or less official at this point. He's part of the Pedro Pascal cast. Yeah, that's more or less confirmed, not being confirmed. I think. But yeah, Ted was a huge surprise. I don't know why I was surprised, because I like McFarlane. I even liked him when he hosted the Oscars. I just like his humor.
Oh yeah, Ted the TV show is so funny. So funny.
Oh yeah.
I want to watch it again. And I wish they'd bring back
mean,
the Orville. I mean, the Orville is like single-handedly like one of the greatest shows in a long, long, long time. I mean, talk about a show that progressively got so much better. I mean, a season
Yeah.
4 of that show, right? Right, they did 3 seasons. Yeah, a season 4 would have been off the charts.
Well, he's been walking back his 4 is never gonna happen thing since Ted got popular. So who knows? Because he said it's possible now. So
I thought he never gave up hope on it.
I read somewhere that it was dead. I think one of the actresses said it was completely over, and then he said it's not so much a couple months later. So we'll see. But I'm assuming with Ted being so popular, you know, it's his playground that he can get some more things done. Even though, I mean, he's Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy. I can't imagine the doors.
Well, I mean, you have like one of the greatest shows. It's on Hulu. It's on Disney Plus. It's like, what were they waiting for? It's better than Star Trek. It's a Star Trek show that's better than Star Trek. No offense to anyone, but it's so good.
It's true. Yeah,
And
true.
it doesn't make any sense. All the crap that's out there, you got a show that is so good, and like, as much as I love Seth MacFarlane's humor, I can get if somebody watches the show. If you binge that show right now, it's a little jarring from season 1 to 2, and you know, just the way, because he changes the humor. Season 1 is closer to Family Guy, but not like Ted is closer to Family Guy. But there's that humor. The humor becomes not less, but much smarter as that series goes on. And it really made the show better, actually, I thought, and the way they kind of reapproached it. And they needed to keep going. I was obsessed. I had three cast members on my podcast. I reached out to all of them.
That's awesome.
I need to watch Orville. I watched the first 2 episodes and I thought like tonnage, it was all over the place, like you said, with kind of the comedy. But I've heard so many people say just stick with it because after a few episodes, it starts to really find its groove.
It does, and the characters are great. But the follow-up seasons it's a show that actually just keeps getting better. Like, and like Seth MacFarlane, some of those episodes are really deep on social issues, like really deep. And then they bring stuff back later, and I think it's a pretty powerful show. I wish, I'm like shocked. It's almost upsetting. I'm glad to have Ted, but I would rather that. There's an episode in season 3 with Scott Grimes where he gets trapped back in time and they go and save him. And it's like one of the most gut-wrenching things you've ever seen in your life. And it's like, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, they just need to bring that show back.
Yeah, totally agree.
I want to talk to you about your podcast a little bit. You've interviewed so many people from television. Like I get jealous. Marion Ross, like I was so jealous listening to it and seeing you post about it and all the Happy Days crew. Do you have some favorites that you've done over the years?
Yeah, I have a good time with all of them. It's like, it's rare that I don't. I mean, surprise, like Ted Neely was one of my favorites, mostly because I didn't know who he was. He's Jesus from Jesus Christ Superstar, and a lot of people do know. I got Jewish, so I didn't grow up watching that movie. I mean, I'm familiar with the story, but I didn't watch the movie. And so there was, but one of my fans of the podcast is like, Ted Neely put out a tweet that he's looking to get on podcasts. And so I reached out to him. And because sometimes that's a fun way to meet new people is when someone says, oh, you got to talk to this person, especially if you don't really know who they are. So I ended up watching Jesus Christ Superstar, and I won't spoil it for how that ends or doesn't end, I guess. And they were putting out a Jesus Christ Superstars kind of documentary, an update of a documentary that they had done. So that was the promotion push. And so I don't know. We just clicked, we hit it off a lot. You know what I mean? And it was like, I remember like a random person tweeted at me or something, and it was like, it was great how you made him laugh. I never hear him laugh or whatever. And it was just like, but like, it was just, we hit it off. You know what I mean? It was just like, I'm like, oh, I'm glad this happened. You know what I mean? And actually, I got his autograph. I got Jesus on my wall. And like, and, you know, so there's that. I really love talking to Jim O'Hare. He was from Arrested Development. I'm sorry, Arrested Development. Parks and Recreation. And I just finished watching the show. And he was supposed to come to Comic-Con, and I reached out to him, and then he didn't come, but we had a great call. And like the entire Parks and Rec was in my head. You know what I mean? Like I could talk to it, like not, you know. And so he was a really great guy. That was a lot of fun. Robert Klein, the comedian, you know. So I reached out to him, never heard. And so I kind of like decided, all right, I guess it's not going to happen. Whatever. I send a lot of emails out that don't happen. So I'm sitting at home in my kitchen and my phone rings and the caller ID says Robert Klein. Okay. So I answer the phone. I'm like, hi. And I'm like, hey, Jeff, it's Robert Klein. Right? That's not him. But it's like, you want to do this podcast thing? And I guess his manager had quit or got fired. And so he's following. I don't know about you. If I'm interviewing someone, I can talk to anybody. I don't know how to talk to Robert Klein when he's just randomly calling me in my kitchen.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
1,000%.
And so I take a screenshot. I have a screenshot of the caller ID. Like, you know, then we set up a time to talk, and like, but he was cool. He was cool too. And then, I liked everyone. I mean, it's just like, you know.
You interviewed.
So I saw that you talked to William. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you interviewed Ed Begley before you passed away, right?
Ed Asner, Ed Begley Jr. is still alive.
Yes.
Sorry, Ed.
I did. That was a funny. Yeah, I reached out. You know, I don't know about you, but like when you reach out to someone and you're like, you assume you never hear, but then all of a sudden they go, sure. And you're like, oh shit. Now I gotta really get ready for this. I gotta get to talk to Ed Asner. And so they're like, but he wants to talk about his book. I'm like, okay, what's his book about? His life. Okay.
Perfect.
Same, right?
Like, so you wrote a book about your life that I can read before and know all about your life for the conversation? Sounds good to me. Perfect.
He only wants to talk about trigonometry.
But yeah, so that was funny. And then yeah, I mean, you know, it's sometimes I go through like phases, like where like I'm like, okay, I want to talk to everyone, like Nicholas Hammond. I want to talk to the original Spider-Man, you know, John Wesley Shipp. I want to talk to the original Flash. Or you can argue if he's the original or not, but the you know, Burt Ward, Robin. You know what I mean? It's like then you start to eat like, what do you mean Lou Ferrigno won't talk to me? I need Hulk. And you know, like you know, stuff like that. Michael Gray. You know, Billy Batson from the old Shazam. And so it's like sometimes I think of myself, I think of people when I reach out, like classic conversation trading cards. You know, it's like okay, all right, from the Orville, I got Bordas, I got I got, you know, Jessica Zor, I got BJ Novak. You know what I mean? So it's like I got 3, you know, so that's a good trilogy.
Collect them all.
That's a good trilogy for that. You know, it's like you know, little things like that. So that's
you interviewed BJ Novak?
Yeah.
Dude, I must have missed that. That's awesome.
No, I'm sorry. Not BJ. No, my saying is maybe you're not the guy from The Office. Wait, hang on. Sorry.
I was like, holy crap.
It's a good get. Good job.
BJ Tanner.
Okay. I was like, man, I follow your podcast. I missed that one.
No, that would have been great though. BJ Tanner. He was one of the sons from one of the sons from Orville. So it was like, sorry about that.
Awesome.
Sorry for the false alarm. But yeah, BJ Novak, if you're out there, let's chat.
You interviewed William Hung, I believe, right? The singer.
I
from American
did
Idol.
interview William Hung.
It had to be incredible. That was probably so fun.
So I was at a conference, and I met him at a conference, and a couple of years ago, or a year or so ago, I'm like, "Hey, you want to be on my podcast?" So yeah, I DM him on Instagram or whatever, and he wrote a book. I read it, an autobiography. I read it, and I go all in, and so it's William Hung. Oh, so at this conference, by the way, I was thinking at the end conference, I was like, oh my God, what would be the greatest thing in the world could happen if you're at a place that has William Hung at it? Obviously, he gets on stage and sings She Bangs. Yeah. I got that on tape, so I'm pretty proud of that. And then, yeah, he was fun. William Hung, a lot like my kids wouldn't know who he is really or anything like that. But it's just
I always felt so bad for him. I felt like the whole world was like laughing at him and not with him, kind of a thing. I always felt bad for him.
I do. I agree with that. But it's like he was such a big part of, I was there, I mean, but that was I was into American Idol. I lived through that moment, right? I mean, that was, and so it was cool to me to be able to talk to him just the same way it was cool to talk to like Kato Kalin or Carol Baskin, those folks. And
we've talked to Kato. Kato's wild. He's a lot of fun to talk to. Like, I'm really shocked because he MCs Comic Cons now, and we met him at one of the Comic Cons. He was like doing the
like the Wizard ones or something. He did.
Yeah. And I was really surprised at how much fun he was to talk to.
He's hilarious. I had followed him. We'd followed each other on Twitter forever, and yeah, so that was fun. That was a good one as well. Let's see what I'm trying to think what else. It's weird when people pass away that you tell like Judy Tenuta.
It has to be hard.
Ed Asner. It's just it is a little weird, I mean, it's because it's you don't really him, but you don't know him. You know how it is. And but yeah. So I'm trying to think. One of my favorite things was when I talked to Will Wheaton. Is so he's into the table games, the board games and stuff. He used to have like a little show where he did that and stuff. And so when my friends Howard and Jeff, we used to play Axis and Allies in high school and stuff. So it'd be a Saturday. We'd just, block 10 hours and we'd play Axis and Allies. And so there was this one time we were playing Axis and Allies, and it was, I can't remember if I was the Axis or they were both the Allies or whatever it was. My dice rolling was insane, and I won the entire game in 90 minutes, which is like,
wow, that's incredible. That's incredible.
So I told him the story on the podcast to lock it in. I mean, it's 20 years ago, you know what I mean? But it was always one of those things where if it ever comes up, they always my friends, Howard and Jeff, will always brace themselves. Dwoskin's going to tell the story. Hang on, buckle up. And so I told Will Wheaton the story because I knew he would love it because, the table game thing. But then also just because then I could say, hey, guys, look.
Yeah, look what I told.
I put it, I recorded it. It's there forever now. So
you should make it short just to send it to him every once in a while.
I know. Oh, my I just talked to the two people from Land of the Lost. That was fun for me. Because Land of the Lost was like one of those shows I grew up watching, so it's like talk to Will and Holly Marshall. I mean, that's what?
Yeah.
It's the greatest. So.
You should reach out to Linda Pearl. She's fun to talk to.
Okay.
We had her on our Matlock podcast.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I was curious about do you do stand-up comedy? I see some shorts on your channel, but like, do you do stand-up or is it more just like comedian, like YouTube based? You know what I mean? Do you do like
no, I don't do it as much as I used to, but yeah, for 20 years I did stand up comedy.
that sounds like one of like the hardest career paths to go, because everyone's like trying to like get at you too, right? Like in terms of, it feels hard to me, at least it would be for me.
It wasn't really, it was more like a pretty strong hobby type thing.
Yeah.
You know, like podcasting, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's fun. You know,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. As a matter of fact, we went to a conference, Podfest, in January and of this year, and so myself and there was 3 other folks that do stand-up comedy. So we did a show. We did a show on Saturday. We had, some of the other podcasters did like 3 minutes, and then we would do longer sets in between. And it was a lot of fun. It was cool to be able to do something different at a conference. You know, show off a skill that most people wouldn't be able to see. So.
How'd the podcasters do with their 3 minutes?
Actually, it was great. Yeah, they did great. Everyone kept to the 3 minutes, which is a feat in itself. And yeah, and they all did pretty good. You know,
how is Podfest? I've always wanted to go. I always see you and Maria posting about it.
Maria's never gone. Will Wise
does too. Yeah.
Wise usually goes, and it's great. It's I mean, I that's why we encourage you guys to always go. It's a great community kind of thing. It'd be a great way for us to all connect in real life and all that kind of stuff. But
that's right. Maria always says she's going to go, and then she never goes. That's right.
Yeah. But maybe next time we'll all go. That'd be fun. So
that would be fun. It's down in Orlando. Justin, we should do that next year.
Okay. Like, this is very true.
So what's next for you, Jeff? What are you working on this year?
I've a startup, a company that I started. It's an Instagram platform for creators called Stampede Social. Helps you deliver content without sending people to link in bio through DM automation, and run post-level giveaways, track fan user-generated content, all that kind of good stuff, and podcast, really. So that's
how's that going? Is that pretty new? I was reading about you on your website. Like, have you been doing this for a while then, or is it how recent is the startup or the company?
We kind of converted to a SaaS creator model late last year, so we're kind of in a ramp up phase right now. But yeah, with the tech itself, originally we built it as part of for Twitter, actually, and then bailed on Twitter as that became a shit show, and then kind of focused it as a full platform for Instagram. So.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. I mean, to say that Twitter is a shit show is actually underselling it by a lot. It's actually worse than a shit show, but
it's exponential.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's going on with you guys? What's up for you guys? Besides interviewing Linda Pearl, what have you guys been on?
We're just starting to rev up our interviews again. We do our live show on Saturdays at 7 now. That's been a lot of fun. I mean,
Very cool.
Much it. We've just been focusing on our live show for the most part, and then now we're starting to get back to the interviews, reaching out to people.
Yeah, I have to start doing that again. I have such a backlog, so it's like I wanted to take a little bit of a break, and then just kind of catch up a little bit, which I don't, because then people keep referring people to me. It's like
that's a good problem to have, though.
It's a good problem to have, but if I also am adding myself, then it suddenly can become a lot. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I spend a lot of time preparing so it's like, I can't do 5 a week or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 2 a week is a stretch, sometimes 3. If it's a comedian, there's a little less prep that goes into it, just because
you can relate so much.
Yeah, well, it's just comedians are more. It's more of a just a kind of you can talk about comedy, you can talk about there's specific things you watch some of their comedy, you can do it. If they were in a movie or something, then they're probably more actor. But like, if it's a like when I talked to Gail Ann Hurd, I watched Terminator 2, I watched Aliens. It's like I watched all these things, And it's like, not that I had to, but you know how it is. It's an excuse to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't like going by memory. You can't go by memory. Like, oh yeah, Terminator was a great movie. I remember, because I saw it 20 years ago. I mean, unless you got great memory or something, but like, I need to rewatch something, and go, oh my God, I didn't even remember that Bill Paxton was in Terminator for half a second. He's just some punk in one scene. You know what I mean? And like, yeah.
Did you say you put more work into the William Hung interview because you actually had to read the book?
I did read the book, yeah, but it's like you put the time in to make it a good interview, though.
We killed Jeff.
Hopefully not on our show.
yeah. As long as it's recorded, just like the Axis and Allies.
Jeff Dwoskin had a podcast, folks.
Hey, I will. I'll give you I have a fun podcast tip that maybe can help you or someone else. Sorry, I swallowed. It's like you think I know how to swallow water by now. So do you guys use podcast.adobe.com?
No.
No, but it sounds like we should.
So write that down, podcast.adobe.com. Anyone listening, this is a game changer. So they have audio fix thing on there. Maybe you have a different tool to use it. I use there's a free version, but don't use the free version. Pay the $13 or whatever it is. So you can upload your audio and it fixes. It'll like if it's sometimes when people are using a mic, it's a little echoey. It can kind of fix that. Okay. So my episode 301, which is with John DeBellis and Steve Middleman. So I was supposed to interview Steve Middleman. These are two comedians. And so he brings John DeBellis on with him as well, which is cool. And it turned out to be like one of my favorite interviews. But I will say that I recorded this in 2022. Okay. And so, but the sound sucked. Okay. One of John's was fine, but Steve's wasn't because he was in the room and it was just echoey. And I don't like putting out stuff that I can't listen to. You know what I mean? Like, and so I sat on it for 2 years, and then I finally Adobe, and I ran it through Adobe, and then I went back and was able to kind of re-edit the whole show, and anyway, so that's that. So I've done that twice where I've saved interviews that I otherwise would have scrapped with this tool.
We have a couple that I have.
I have some that I sweeten up anyway, but I've some too that I wasn't going to release otherwise. I mean, I guess if it's a complete shit show, it's but it's cool because you can upload it and then you can choose. You pay for the pay version, which is totally worth it. You can all right, 10%, and then you can listen to it and then you can kind of apply as much as you need to apply to it. Yeah, it's a killer tool. So anyway, I like to
That's
share.
awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you.
If I can help one person out there,
I really leaned into it. That's great.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for taking the time to hang out with us. Where can everybody find you online?
You can go to jeffisfunny.com. That's classic conversations. If you're a creator and you want to check out Stampede Social, stampede.social is the website. That's it. Oh, I do a live show every Wednesday called Crossing the Streams. That's on YouTube and now Instagram. We go live on Instagram also. And I guess wherever, it's so.
How's Instagram Live working for you?
How does what? Instagram Live? Instagram Live it's clunky because it's like now I have to be like, all right, everyone, just let the theme music play for a second because Instagram Live has to catch up. And so, I don't like wait, but you got to let it start, so, and then it's always like a little off, it's a little behind or something. And, you got to coordinate it. And the other day I accidentally closed the tab by accident. And then when I reopened it, I couldn't stop it. You know what I mean? And then, you got to remember to mute the tab. And then if you ever want to use that tab again, you got to remember to unmute it if you want to hear something. I mean, it's cool, but it's also like, this is horizontal, right? So, it's on the there it's a vertical field. And so it's weird because you're watching something which I can't imagine people on Instagram watching. They watch a little bit, right? They'll go, oh, okay. Because it's weird. You're like watching this little thing, and then we're little in that little thing. And you can actually record vertical, but then it would look like crap on everywhere else. You know what I mean? So it would be at some point the future state needs to be able to, you have this horizontal, and like StreamYard or Ecamm, whatever you're using, also has a version where you can set it for vertical and do it at the same time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
so,
cool.
I mean, that would be my wish if I had one wish.
Yeah, I'd like the comments to actually come through StreamYards. I have the Instagram thing up because you can't monitor the comments any other way than to actually be on Instagram.
You can with Stampede Social.
All right.
Stampede Social monitors and brings in all the comments from an Instagram live. So
nice. You guys heard that right here. So you guys can find all the links to Jeff's stuff down below. And Jeff, again, man, talk